Welcome to the Mokuchi Studio podcast, a podcast dedicated to Japanese woodworking and related topics. I am your host, Jan Giguel, and today we have joining us Pierre Nadeau. So, welcome, Pierre.
Thanks for having me, Jan. Bonjour.
Bonjour, bonjour. Yes, we will do this in English, but we could speak Quebecois. That would be a
Absolutely. We are both from Quebec.
yes. Yes, so you're from Quebec. You are now, though, joining us from Japan.
That's right. So I was born and grew up in Montreal as a French Canadian, a Quebecois. And
Mm.
being married to Japanese, I've moved back and forth between Japan and Canada quite a bit. And presently, I am in Japan. Yes.
Okay. And do you call yourself a blacksmith or swordsmith, or how do you call yourself?
I remember when I entered apprenticeship, I was wondering what the proper term in English was. And
Mm.
I just made up swordsmithing at some point. And then I tried
Mm.
to look for it, and I couldn't really find any traces of it. So I think bladesmithing exists, bladesmith. I'm not
Mm.
sure that swordsmith exists, but I've been using it for 25 years, and I consider it should be part of the dictionary now. So
Oh,
I
yes.
made a word up.
Yes. Yeah, so I first became aware of you online, probably probably Instagram many years ago.
All right.
A, a white guy blacksmithing in Japan. So easy to
Hmm.
spot. Okay, something interesting. Oh, and look at that name, Pierre Nadeau. That's a very familiar name to me.
Yeah. Yeah, to me as well. I mean, Jan Giguère, because as you know, we have a history. Many people, many French Canadian left Quebec in I think in the 30s and 40s, and they went to live in New England. So there's
Mm,
Massachusetts, there's Maine, Vermont. So we have
yes,
many French Canadian family names in the
yes,
States. So I
yes,
wasn't sure if you were one of
yes,
those
yes, yes.
Americans or if you were an actual expat.
Yes. Yeah, so that's fun to finally be talking face to face.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, so you studied blacksmithing, but specifically swordsmithing in Japan. We'll start here, and then we can work it backwards.
Yes.
So,
So basically, it was a strange chain of events that led me to begin an apprenticeship in Japan in 2005
mm,
to a young swordsmith in the prefecture of Wakayama. And that lasted 5.5 years and had very high highs and very low lows. But it was a
mm,
very intense and interesting experience.
mm. So what was the process from? Is that something you always wanted to do, or is that a profession that came later in life?
It it's very interesting for me when people ask me if I always wanted to be a swordsmith or because many people contacted me in the years and they were asking me on how they should approach the idea of becoming a swordsmith in Japan. And most of these people were always telling me stuff like they were a samurai in their previous life, and so now they needed to be a swordsmith, or they loved
Oh,
swords, so they wanted to be a swordsmith. And every time I thought, like, none of these are proper motivations to be a blacksmith, like actual forging swords every day. Whether it's true
mm,
or not doesn't matter. But the fact that you like swords, I think, is not a good motivation to be a swordsmith.
mm,
And I always loved traditional crafts. like every as late as early as I can remember as a kid, I love matter. I love wood, stone, metal, and as soon as I had an opportunity, I would visit a craftsman and visit him. And
Mm,
obviously, when I moved to Japan in 2002, this is the paradise of traditional crafts. There's still
mm.
many crafts here that are still alive. So I would take every chance I had to go visit a traditional craftsman. Would it be a weaver or a carpenter, a woodworker, a potter?
Mm. Ah, so craft. Interesting.
Yeah. So among all these visits was a swordsmith, Kawashima-san, that I
Ah.
visited in 2002 or three, I'm not sure.
Mm,
And I fell in love with the work. And and that's the point I'm trying to make is that I fell in love with being alone by the fire and transforming this very crude material into such a beautiful object. And I didn't
ah,
even know when I visited the swordsmith, I didn't even know that swordsmiths still existed in Japan. I didn't know that swords were still being made in Japan or swords even existed. Like I didn't know much about this. So it was really a big eye-opening experience for me, but I fell in love with the actual crafts. And I remember being challenged by the Japanese curator of the Japanese sword collections at the Boston Museum of Fine Arts and the Met in New York. And he asked me, "Why do you want to be a swordsmith?" Very Japanese way of being very, um, how can I say that? Just he asked me very directly,
very
"Why do you think you
direct.
want to be a swordsmith?" And I said, "What I visited a swordsmith and I fell in love with the work." And right away said,
Mm,
"Wow, that's a great motivation. I'll support you." I remember that.
mm,
So so that's the long answer to your question. Why did I want to be a swordsmith? I never wanted to be a swordsmith. I just I came
mm.
across this craft and I fell in love with it. Is what
Ah.
happened.
What were you? Can you remember if you were looking for something and when you saw the blacksmith at work, you realized that's it? Had you been looking for
Yeah, that's it.
something?
You know what, Jan? After all these interviews over the years, it's the first time I'm being asked this, and that's a very interesting question because looking at young me from where I stand now, I was completely lost back then. Like I really had no idea what I wanted to do with my life.
Uh-huh.
I had no idea what I was, who I was, I had and I realize now how much I was lost back then.
Mm, mm,
Like if I could redo this again, I'd enter apprenticeship at 15, Like
mm.
let's do
Oh,
it.
yeah. Yeah.
But but yeah, so basically what happened is that when I visited this guy, it was not a surprise. It was not exciting. I just felt at home, like the smell, the ambience, the sounds, the fire, all of this felt like
Mm,
this is where I want to be. Like this feels like home. This is what appealed to me really. Like, and the
mm,
swords were just like this like plus, Oh, and swords are cool on top of that. But it was really
mm,
more like the blacksmithing that talked to me. And
mm.
and I would say like the spice that makes it fun is that uh most types of blacksmithing will use the iron as a material to make an object of, whereas in sword making, traditional Japanese sword making, we show the beauty of the metal. When you appreciate a sword, it's not just the shape. You appreciate the texture in the metal, the quenching mark.
Ah.
You really appreciate. It's like pottery. You know, if you make all the pottery out
Mm,
of white porcelain, it's boring. But if you use these interesting clays from different places, and some have impurities and stones in them, and that's what makes them interesting. So it's like I always tell people, you can compare wood to plywood. Like the best wood in the world is plywood. It's stable, it's straight, it's strong. But do you want a
Uh-huh.
furniture made of plywood? No, nobody wants that. You want wood, real
Mm,
wood, because it's not
mm,
perfect. It
mm,
moves, but it has a soul. So it's the same thing with Japanese sword making. We appreciate the actual material, and it's the only type of blacksmithing that does that.
mm. Oh, how interesting. How interesting.
That's how I go about every question. So feel comfortable to stop me anytime.
Oh, yeah, no, no, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Um, but did you think of blacksmithing as it was going to be a hobby or a profession?
Well, as I said earlier, I was completely lost. So I had no idea what I wanted to be, and to be honest, I wasn't even thinking of becoming a swordsmith. So what
Mm,
happened is I really fell in love with this thing.
mm,
And obviously, when I met Kawashima-san, I wasn't like, okay, this is what I want to do. And I was like, this is like, it was dwelling inside of me. I was like, this is completely awesome. I need to see more of that. So
ah,
instead of visiting other craftsmen, I started visiting more swordsmiths. And
mm,
through one of my visits, I met Kyota-san, who became my master.
ah,
And because he was so easygoing, I visited him many times. He would allow me to come and visit him as much as I wanted. So I came and started visiting him, and then some of those visits were just me standing there and watching him work. And I remember having a conversation with the person who became many years later my mother-in-law, and she was asking me like,
ah,
"Is this what you want to do?" And it's the first time I was like, "Oh, well, I really want to do this." It's like I never gave it a thought. Like, is it possible for me? Like I was more like, "Oh yeah, yeah."
ah,
And for some reason I don't remember what, but she came to visit with my father, the guy who would become my father-in-law,
uh-huh.
and so we all came and took a drive because my father-in-law wanted to visit Kyoto-san to see a swordsman. He's never seen a swordsman in his life. So we go there and we're having tea together. And at some point, the mother-in-law, she's like, "So, would you take Pierre as an apprentice?" I was
It's
like,
like, oh,
"What?
what,
I
what?
I haven't. Wait, wait." I was like, and Kyoto-san goes, "Yes, of course I would accept him." And this was
Wow,
it. You know.
wow,
And
wow.
people go about like, how do you become a swordsman apprentice in Japan? Like how, like it's super hard.
Mm,
Like most masters, like people get rejected all the time. It's
uh-huh.
very complex. You have to build a relationship. So for me, it was the easiest thing in the world. So
Ah. So, how many times had you met Kyoto before your mother-in-law sort of pushed the question?
So at that time, I probably had visited him maybe 4 or 5 times over the period of a year and a half. I also met him at events like sword making demonstrations and
Ah,
exhibitions. And so I realized at that point that it had more to do with being referred by someone, which is the traditional way in Japan, or to know the person. So you visit each other to get to know each other, which is very important in Japanese culture. And
mm,
so that's why when I had people ask me, "Can how can I become a swordsman apprentice? Or do you know any masters looking for apprentices?" That's how it
ah,
works. It's just
yeah, 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 because it's not just a job, you know,
no,
it's
that's
it's
it.
so
It's a
different. Yeah,
it's a lifetime commitment.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, once in a while I get inquiries for apprenticing as well. I'm like, wow, I I would like to know you, some at least
Yes.
meet once.
I mean,
Um, and,
I had a collection of emails at that point. I threw it out, but the
mm,
craziest stories like can you find me a master who's looking for an apprentice and send me a flight ticket? I can come next Monday. Like, it's just
they wanted to be flown out there. Wow.
they wanted to be flown out and set into an apprenticeship. Like Like, do you want a massage to go with that?
Yes.
Man,
Wow, that's so interesting.
yeah, I had crazy,
Um,
crazy emails.
wow. It's yeah, it is so outside of the context of how anything would happen in Japan. Wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Interesting.
But I think you can relate as a North American craftsman, even though you work in the Japanese flavor of
Mm.
craftsmanship. The values that you have are the same as a traditional craftsman in Europe, in India, in Japan. I mean,
Oh yeah.
traditional craftsmen,
Yeah.
they speak the same language throughout
Yeah.
the world.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I think being human and working with physical material,
Yes,
like
exactly.
you end up with very similar conclusion.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
the the material, a friend of mine used to say that the material is the ultimate master. The material decides how you behave. No, you cannot
Yes.
force a wood to behave in a way that you want it to. It doesn't matter. The wood
Yeah.
decides.
Yeah. I mean, you can try, but if you want things to go well, right, then you have to yield.
Yes,
You have
absolutely.
to let the material. Oh, I think, anyways, it goes a lot
Exactly.
easier when I do that. If I just let the material guide the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that woodworker, I forget his name. He was in New York City. He was a Japanese woodworker making furniture mostly.
In New York City,
Yeah,
furniture, not shojis.
not shoji's,
Furniture in New
furniture.
York City.
I saw an interview video on YouTube from like maybe 15 years ago or something. And so he
No.
was this Japanese guy who moved to the States making furniture in New York.
Oh,
And at
wait.
the end of the interview, he just says this one thing that really moved me. He says, "It's very simple. You can go with nature or against nature. I choose to go with nature."
Ah,
And that
that's
was it.
okay. That is they make a lot of shojis actually. It is, his name is Hanafusa. Uh,
Maybe. What's the name
yeah,
of the shop?
Miya Shoji.
Yes. Okay,
Miya
you're
Shoji.
right.
Yes, yes,
So they're
yes.
a shoji shop. Got it. Okay.
But they do
That
make furniture as well. Yes, yes, yes,
okay.
yes. And
What I saw was about a big table he was making. So
yes, 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 yes. Yeah, Hanafusa is yeah. No, he's amazing. Yeah, he's.
is he still around?
Uh, I've I've mostly communicated with his son the last few times.
Okay.
Um, I I forget. He's getting quite old if he's still around. Um,
Yeah.
no, actually, a few years ago, I think he did pass away. I remember
Oh.
seeing a
Okay.
post or something. I'm very glad I got to meet him when I lived in New
Yeah,
York City.
absolutely.
Is one of the first people
Treasures.
I went out to meet and say, "Hey, I don't want to take your any business away. We should know each other." And
Nice.
he was yeah, him and his son were just yeah the nicest people. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, what brought you to Japan the first time, of all places? You mentioned you always had an interest in craft. Did it have anything to do with that, or?
When people ask why, well, nowadays going to Japan is trendy, so everybody goes to Japan. But
Mm, yeah, yeah.
when I came to Japan, it was not trendy, and people used to ask me, and they were expecting like some spiritual answer, like I
Uh,
came for to study Buddhism, or and I used to just to trick them. I used to tell them, girls, I came for girls. The
uh,
reality is it's a very interesting thing that happened, but throughout my life I had a lot of different interests, but every time I looked at where that interest was sourced, it was always Japan. So for
ah,
example, I love what Luke Skywalker is wearing. Well, that's a
mm,
samue, that's a traditional craftsman work clothes, a work uniform.
Ah,
I
ah,
like
yeah.
the fencing style at Star Wars. I like the Darth Vader's helmet. Well, that's a samurai helmet. I like
Ah,
Aikido, Judo, and Karate. I don't like Taekwondo. I don't like Kung Fu. I didn't know it
ah,
was from Japan. I just had my preferences of what I liked. But every
mm,
time I looked into it, it was Japanese. It was not
ah,
Chinese. It was not Indian. It was not French. It was Japanese. And so
interesting.
in 2001, I met a Japanese girl in Montreal who was she was just a friend, but she said, if you ever come to Japan, you can stay with my family. And I
Oh,
was like, that's nice, thank you. And then a month later, I just clicked and I said, this, why not just go? So I just bought a ticket, like for no reason, like just let's just go to Japan. So I left on what we have. It's called a work holiday visa. I think you have those in the States as well.
mm,
And I was going for 2 months and I stayed for a year. And the only reason I left is because my visa was over. It was a maximum of a year. So I,
ah,
I, I left the country for a few months and I came back a few months later. And and that's it. So yeah, I remember arriving in Japan and feeling just like this is it. I'm home. I wasn't excited. I wasn't not. It wasn't even exotic. Just I felt comfortable with everything I was experiencing, and
mm,
uh, and that was a very interesting thing for me. So I still
ah,
feel the same. Every time I come here, everything is normal, natural, smooth. I feel outward in
ah,
North America. So
interesting. So somewhere on your website, I saw you read Musashi.
yeah.
Was
So
that
there's this
before
guy.
your first trip, or
So when I decided to leave for Japan, I was still in university in Montreal,
ah,
and I was at the all universities have bookstores, like we call it co-op,
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
and I was there waiting in line to pay for something, and I saw this book, and it said Eiji Yoshikawa Musashi, something about like Japanese samurai story, and I was just standing there, and I'm leaving for Japan, so I just bought the book.
Ah,
And the book was written, I think, in the early 1900s by Yoshikawa Eiji, a famous novelist in Japan,
mm,
and he wrote about a famous character called Musashi. Now, it's hard to distinguish what is reality and what is legend, and most of what Yoshikawa Eiji wrote is mostly based on like famous legends around Musashi, but it's not a
ah,
biography. So, but
ah.
anyway, I read the book.
So
Amazing
Musashi
book.
was a real Musashi was a real
Absolutely.
person.
Miyamoto Musashi was a real samurai from
Ah,
the
ah, ah, ah.
1500s.
Ah,
And he actually was, according to the legends, he fought I don't know, something like 50 duels and won them all. And he was writing poetry and calligraphy and painting, and he
mm,
was good at everything. Now, what is true, what is not, I have no idea, honestly,
ah,
and I
ah,
don't
ah.
really care. But the book was an awesome read. It's a really fun read. It's a great historical novel. If you've liked books like Shogun, like James Clavell and stuff like that, you just read that.
Mm,
It's really fun to read.
ah, ah,
And
ah.
um, and I just remember throughout the book, as I said, like until then, I had never had any specific interest in Japanese swords. I just had a general interest in everything traditional and historic. But
Mm,
I was reading the book, and at some point, it says that Musashi was getting his sword polished and that the polisher commented that it's a very good sword from Bizen,
mm,
Bizen, Bizen, a famous sword and pottery area in Japan. And
mm,
that's it. I was just reading the book. I didn't pay attention. I didn't care. But several months later, I'm in Japan. I'm with friends, and they're taking me on the drive, and we're on the highway. And at some point on the highway, I see this sign, and it says Bizen. And like, hey,
mm.
wait a minute! Like this is where there's swords. And
Aha.
so we just take the next exit, and my friend starts looking, and she finds a swordsmith who's working in the area.
Mm,
And so we just call him up basically and say, "Hey, can we come visit? We have this
mm.
Canadian guy with us." And that was Kawashima-san. He's the first swordsmith I visited.
Ah.
I don't remember when that was, but that's sometimes in 2002, I think.
Mm,
And so we just went there, entered the shop. He was working. Just watched him for 3 hours. my friends wanted to leave after 5 minutes,
Oh yeah,
but they
of
tolerated
course.
they tolerated me being there.
Good friends.
Yes,
Mm,
Japanese are good friends usually.
mm. Interesting. So seeing him is what you mentioned earlier. That was him that
That's
you
it.
saw
So
for the
that was
first
my
time
first,
working.
exactly. So that was my first visit,
Uh,
and that really moved me deeply because of
mm,
what I saw, like the pace, the ambience in the countryside by the fire, all very, very crude means. It's you don't need high technology. It's very, very simple.
mm,
Yet with very simple tools. Well, Japanese
yeah,
carpentry is the same.
yeah, yeah,
Very
yeah,
simple
yeah, yeah.
tools. You can make the most
Deceivingly
amazing work.
simple looking.
Deceivingly simple, not simple to use.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not simple to use.
Just
No,
a
like a
chunk of
Japanese
iron
plane,
and a hammer. What's the big deal?
right? Like a plane, a Japanese plane, like the
Yeah,
simplest thing in the world, just a
yeah,
chunk, a blade of metal through
yeah,
a piece of timber.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you guys, take these like 4 micron
Mm,
cuts. It's just
mm.
try to do that with what's it called? These famous metal planes. Uh,
Oh, the
whatever,
many, but yeah, yeah, yeah.
whatever.
But even with a Japanese plane, so much of it is setup, right?
Yes, it's just set
Yeah,
up. There's
yeah,
only set up. I'm
yeah.
looking at Ren. What's his name? The guy who sells
Andrew
tools in
Wren.
Canada.
Andrew
Andrew
Wren.
Ren.
Yeah, yeah, in
He's setting
Ottawa.
up planes right now and posting.
Uh-huh.
Man, that's mind
Yeah,
blowing. I love it.
yeah. Well, you should be able to meet him this summer. I imagine he
That's it.
will
Right. Well,
be in Maine at the
I will
festival.
meet him. I met him at what we have a Rust Junkie festival in Ontario.
Ah,
So it's
Rust
it
Fest
Rust Fest,
or
yeah, Rust Junkie Fest.
just? Oh,
So
okay, okay, okay.
it's by a guy called Jack's English Machines on Instagram. He works with
Hmm.
yeah,
I became
waxing machines.
familiar with him through Andrew Wren. He
There
was,
you go. So
yeah,
so
yeah,
Andrew was
yeah,
there. So I met him there
yeah,
once.
yeah. Ah,
Yes.
yeah. Andrew is good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at some point, being in Japan, starting to learn, you must have picked up the language.
Yeah. So I was always surprised when I saw foreigners who were living in Japan for like 15, 20 years and they go to the convenience store and they can't even say thank you in Japanese.
Oh my
No,
gosh. Wow.
I've seen many of those.
Ah,
Um, yeah, so I never hung out with foreigners, not because I didn't want to, there just weren't anyone
mm,
around.
ah,
So I only hung out with Japanese people, and as I say, when you're in the water long enough, you learn how to swim.
yeah, yes.
So now my wife being Japanese, we only
Mm,
speak Japanese at home. It's been 25 years,
mm,
so I don't
wow.
consider myself a master of the language, but I'm comfortable.
Uh-huh. So 25 years. So you met her in Canada?
Well, I'm running up numbers here. So,
Oh,
so
so,
2002, I moved to Japan, and then I rented an apartment, and I became friends with my landlords, who were very friendly to me, and they would invite me to dinner. And
uh,
then I remember the lady mentioning that her daughter was living in London, so that's why she accepted me as a foreigner in her apartment because she said her daughter was having a similar experience in England.
ah,
And a few months later, she tells me that her daughter's coming back from England. So,
ah,
and I remember the first time I met her, I was just going to tell my landlord something one morning before going to work, and um, and she's there with her hair all messed up and in her
ah,
pajamas, half sleeping, and
yeah,
she's like,
yeah.
"Oh, hi." I said, "Hi," and we couldn't care less.
Uh-huh.
And that's the lady who became my wife
Oh,
many many years later. So, so
uh,
I married my landlord's daughter.
oh, interesting. Wow. Mm,
So 23 years ago, to be
mm,
precise.
I see. Did you guys get married both in Japan and in Quebec or just one place?
S- So we got married at his Shinto shrine in
Uh-huh.
in Nada,
yes, yes.
which I really enjoyed actually. It was a really fun experience. And then when we moved to Canada in 2011, we did get the marriage recognized in Quebec. So it's we didn't actually get married in Quebec, so the marriage is Japanese, but we
Ah,
have a
okay, okay.
certificate that recognizes the marriage.
Yeah,
So we have the
yeah, yeah,
status in
yeah,
both countries.
yeah. Okay. Uh, so, did your family come over or?
That was crazy. My parents have been separated for like 40 years now or something. They get along though,
Uh
but my
huh.
father has a new girlfriend, a wife, a partner.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when I told them I was getting married, they were like, "Well, we have to go to Japan now." Like they never thought of
Uh huh.
going to Japan. You know, they're not big travelers.
Uh huh.
But
Yeah.
I got my dad, my mom, and my dad's partner to travel together for 1 month, the three of them.
Wow.
So it and you know what? It went super smooth. They were super friendly, like no problems
Great.
whatsoever. But I had the
Great. Great.
most fun introducing them to Japanese people. Like I would say, so this
Ah.
is
Oh,
this is
yes.
my mother, this is my father, and this is my father's girlfriend. And they were like, "What?
What? What?
What?" You know, in Japan, a divorce is very dramatic. So they usually
Hmm.
never talk again after that. You know, so
Ah, how
yeah.
interesting. Wow, 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 wow. So on your website, I also read that you studied mostly with Kyoto,
Yes.
Kyoto-san, and but then at some point he stopped smithing.
Yes. So the history of my apprenticeship is not all pink. Um, it was quite chaotic, to be honest. And
Mm,
if I had to redo this again, I would not redo the same thing. But basically, my master was very young, and looking at it from now, I now firmly believe that he was actually going through depression. Like he did not have much will to work, so I would
oh,
very often be on my own, and I would watch him work once in a while, and then he would let me do stuff. So it was not very stimulating, but I was still very earnest. I really wanted to do it. I was willing to do, like, I call it the Kill Bill apprenticeship. Just carrying buckets of water up and down the mountain. I was willing to do it. And
mm,
but yeah, he was the one who was yeah. I don't think he was well, but that lasted for
oh,
about 3 years, and then
oh,
he basically stopped working. I think he had huge financial problems. So
oh,
he sent me to go to his master, the
ah,
famous Kawachi Kunihira. And at
ah,
that point, um, I was not doing so well either. After 3 years
mm,
of basically like not learning much, and feeling very frustrated and having no money either, because I wasn't
ah.
working all this time. So
Well, you
and
were
it
working
was
hard, but not for pay.
no, that's it. So I didn't have any income. I would teach English 1 day a week on Saturdays, and stuff like that. So I was living off five hundred
Mm,
dollars a month for like 3 years,
wow.
which I didn't care,
Mm,
honestly. Like, but
mm,
and then I go there to this other guy, and there was a lot of political BS, and I don't really want to get into this. Like, this is not public information, basically, and I don't
okay.
want to
Yeah, yeah,
start.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to start talking about, but I can say that. So I go to his master's master, Kawachi Kunihira, and that did
Uh,
not go well for many reasons. I might write a book sometimes in my life, and that lasted about 3 weeks, and then
oh, 3 weeks.
leaving
Wow.
there. Yeah, that's it. So and
Uh,
then leaving there, I felt my life was over, like what was happening. So I just went back to the
oh.
village where my master was. My master, Kyoto-san, he was not. He was renting the shop he was working from, and so he
Ah.
left that. So I just went full Canadian mode and was like, well, if the Japanese traditional system won't have me, I'll just do it my way. And I went to the
Ah.
landlord and I said, I'm gonna rent this shop. And they were like, fine. They knew me already, so they
Yeah.
rented the shop to me, and I started practicing
Ah.
like crazy. Like every day I would be forging. And it felt awesome. I had the
Mm,
freedom, I was there, but I needed training. So and throughout the years, I had met another swordsmith called Manabe Sumihira. He's a bit of a
Mm.
black sheep in the community, but he's
Oh,
very
interesting.
diligent and hardworking, and
Ah.
he's been doing a lot of research. So I started visiting him, and so that was an unofficial apprenticeship. But this is when I actually
Mm.
started learning, and
Ah.
he would teach me everything. Like, and he had a lot of experience too. It was awesome. So he would kind of give me homeworks, and I would go back to my shop and practice, and then go back
Uh-huh.
visit him. He would scold me, say that's crap. You should leave. You're not good. Then go back to my shop, practice some more. Go see him again. Say, why are you doing this? You should quit. So that was the typical Japanese master
Uh-huh.
apprentice relationship,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah,
had
yeah,
that
yeah.
for another 2 or some years,
Mm.
and then and that's it. Yeah. So that's basically the time I spent. And that was the best years of my life, like these 2 3 last years in my own shop in Japan. That was
Mm.
a lot of fun, and this is when I actually learned the most.
Mm. Were you able to support yourself a little bit doing some blacksmithing out of your shop as well? I don't
Yeah,
quite
so
know.
yeah, I did take a few jobs like fixing tools for locals in my village and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah, yeah,
the first 3 years I mostly worked one or the first year I worked Saturday, Sunday teaching English, and
yeah.
Monday to
Mm.
Friday apprenticing. That was the first year. That was reading 7 days a week for a full year. And
Uh-huh.
then the second year, I decided to take Sundays off. So I was working Saturdays
Uh-huh.
and I was apprenticing Monday to Friday. And the third year, I did the same thing. And then when my master quit and I went to Kawachi and I came back, then I had no work.
Mm.
So I was teaching English private students, like 3 or 4 private students. I was really living off basically $250 a month because my rent was
Wow.
super cheap. And this is when
Uh-huh.
I married actually. And the
Wow.
deal was that my wife would she had a full-time job in Osaka, so she would
Mm.
support me, pay my rent, and I would bring back food from her place on the week. And so
Oh,
she
wow.
would do this until I finished my apprenticeship, and then I said, you support me for a few years, and I'll support you for the rest of your life. That was the deal.
Uh-huh.
So
Good
she
deal.
did that for a few years.
Wow. How far was Osaka from where were you again?
So basically, it's like a triangle. I was in Wakayama, so south of Osaka and Nara.
Uh-huh. Okay.
It's like the belly of Japan, like the
Yeah,
southernmost
yeah, yeah,
point.
yeah. Uh-huh.
And we were based in Nara, so where she's
Ah.
from and where I
Ah, I
was
see.
renting the apartment,
Okay.
like in the early years. But she would
Uh-huh.
go to Osaka to work in the city every day from Nara. That's like a 30-minute train ride.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 not far.
So
Yeah.
so she was working in Osaka on the weekdays, and we would meet back at her parents' place on the
Mm.
weekends in Nara,
Mm.
and I would drive back. So for 5 years, I drove back and forth every week from Wakayama to Nara,
Mm. Uh-huh.
which was my quiet time. This was the only time I had on my own, doing nothing, just drive for 3 hours on Friday
Ah,
nights and
3
Monday
hours.
mornings. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
hundred kilometers. Like what? That's 60 miles. 3 hours.
Uh-huh.
That's Japan for you.
Oh, is it
It's nuts.
traffic or speed limit is
It's
different
it's
or
just
what's different?
everything, all of the above. So
Oh.
basically, yeah. So it's jam packed everywhere. Lots of traffic lights. No
Ah.
highways. It's all local city driving for 3 hours. For half of the ride, for 50 kilometers, the other 50 was in the mountains, just mountain driving. So imagine
Oh,
these tiny
okay.
winding roads, and
Yes,
you go
yes,
at like
yes.
40 or 50.
Wow.
So, but you know what? I loved it. That was my quiet time, just driving and listening to music.
Mm. Ah,
But
neat.
looking at all this from now, I would
Mm.
just go to a more traditional apprenticeship, like live-in apprentice, and just get used as a slave for 5 10 years, whatever, it doesn't matter. Because when you
Mm.
come out of there, you're fully functional. i
Ah.
I never was. So I did not train enough. I did not have enough example to follow.
Mm.
And so that was the weak part, and that really uh, that really hurt my motivation and my confidence in myself. It was like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, so that was hard. But I felt I had to reteach myself everything from start afterwards, you know. So, but thanks to
After after
after the apprenticeship,
Kyoto? Oh,
yeah, and even
once.
even with Manabe, you know, he was teaching me, but
Hmm.
it's not the same as, you know, you only
Hmm.
really learn by doing the work.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right, so
yeah, yeah,
Manabe giving me homeworks and me practicing on my own is not the
yeah.
same as being with Manabe and making swords for him,
Sure.
you know, which is what a traditional apprenticeship is.
Yeah. Were you able to see him work a little bit to get
Yes,
some
every time he
hints?
would
Yeah.
show me everything freely,
Hmm.
which was really incredible because many, and I learned that many years later, but many apprenticeships in Japan, the apprentices are not allowed to see the master. Like
Ah.
between you and I, that's complete BS. You know, it's
Yeah.
typical BS. But in my clan, like Kyoto, Kawachi, and Manabe, like
Uh-huh.
there was none of that. Like they were
Uh-huh.
working fully transparently in front of us.
Hmm.
So that was very helpful.
So, so then your job is to absorb as much as you can.
Yeah.
Just
So
absorb.
so that's it. So apprenticing, I think in any traditional crafts, but at least in Japan, it's basically you being there and making yourself as useful as you can while not interfering and absorbing as much knowledge as you can. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So you just
Don't be in the
basically
way.
just
Yeah.
be there. Well, while
Yeah.
you're there, why don't you clean around, you know? Why don't you help with
Mm-hmm.
this? When you do an errand, when you do like fix that tool, you know, you're here anyway, right?
Yeah. Make
And
yourself
then
useful. Yeah.
make yourself useful and then absorb
Yeah.
as much knowledge. There's no teaching. It's not
Yeah.
a school. No one's going to
Yeah.
sit you
Yeah. Yeah.
down in front of a board and start explaining stuff to you. You know, it's
Yeah.
not a school.
Yeah.
Like this
Step
guy is a
one, two,
craftsman.
three.
He has
Yeah.
work to do and you're
Mm-hmm.
just lucky to be allowed to be in his vicinity. That's
Mm-hmm.
what traditional apprenticeship is.
Yeah.
And personally, I love that. I think too much learning with the head is not good. You have to learn with your body.
Yeah. I'm totally biased, so yes, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think we'll disagree on these topics.
Did you, having had more than one teacher, did you find yourself changing the way you behave from one teacher to another? Because,
Absolutely.
in terms of even like small stuff, like the way you speak, the way you carry yourself.
Absolutely.
Be-
So basically, I have this joke that I say that being in apprenticeship, which means you're part of the family, which means in my mind you're part of a cult. So every
yeah.
group has its own values, you know, its own what's good, what's bad. The approaches to work, how a thing should be done, can be complete opposites between one group and the other.
Mm.
So sometimes you're being taught for years that this has to be done this way, you know,
Uh-huh.
and
Yes.
and then you go to the other group and this is crap. This is how it should be done, you know,
Uh-huh.
and that's why I now realize I was lucky to be able to visit four swordsmiths actually,
Yeah.
and watch them work, which is something the Japanese never do. It's considered it's frowned upon if an apprentice just go and visit another master. You know, it's like what are you doing? You know, it's cheating.
Well, yeah. Isn't your master good enough? Like, you need
Exactly,
to go
right?
and
So, but because of
yeah.
what happened to me, my master who quit and well, these things,
Mm.
I was allowed to see many masters, and that I'm very thankful I did because it completely opened my mind, you know, on different things,
Mm.
things I was taking for granted. Now I'm like, oh, that was
Mm.
crap, or that was good, or you know, and
Mm.
yeah, but
There's
but
maybe
I
there's more than one way to do things, huh?
right, yeah. So having said that, I think it's a disease in the West that we want to study and see everything all the time without going deep
Mm.
into anything. So I think you
Mm.
should go deep into something, and people always feel that they're going to be limited if they restrict themselves to one tradition. And that's not true. I think you should master one tradition, and then you can always go and visit others later. You can reinvent yourself.
It is for some reason it is a very common trap or assumption. uh, and yeah, I think especially as a young person, somehow seeing everything, doing everything seem to have so much value.
Yeah, and
But
it's a killer. It
yeah,
it's not good.
but it is literally shallow, because you can't go deep in anything if you just stay on the surface.
It's absolutely shallow.
Good for some things, you get some perspective, but then any one task, and it really doesn't seem to matter what, any
Yeah.
one task that you just dive deep in somehow seems to open your eyes to the connections between everything else. Huh?
Yes. And I think we seem to think that we should find the best possible way to do something. And for this goal, we have to study every way that exists out there and
Ah,
find the
ah,
best one and then choose the best one. I think that's BS. I think I realized that's BS when I started visiting village blacksmith in Japan who don't make swords. They've
mm,
been making the same tool, the same axe or the same, whatever tool they're making in every village
uh-huh,
for like for generations. They just make the same bloody tools every day for 60, 70 years as their father was before them. And I'm
mm,
like, these people have never walked around and visited other village blacksmiths to see how they do. They just do it like that because that's how it's done. And maybe it's not
uh-huh.
the best way, but they're centuries ahead of me in terms of competence and knowledge, because they've been doing the same thing
Oh
over
yeah.
and over and over for it. They understand the material, they understand the fire, the quenching. Like, it's crazy the intimate and deep knowledge they have of their craft. And this is when I realized that it's more important to go deep on one thing than shallow on many things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In Japan it is so valued. It's an it's a relatively easy focus to maintain in Japan. In fact,
The
the,
culture
the
supports it.
society the society will sort of if you're not doing that, they're like, what are you doing?
The society
um
will shun you if you don't focus in Japan.
yeah, yeah.
And in North America it's the opposite.
Oh yeah,
I find it hard to focus.
it is. Well, yeah, as a society largely just different value. When you tell somebody, oh, you know how to do this and this and this and this, and the longer the list, the more impressed people are. Here
Yes.
it's very
Yes.
common. But anybody who's become really good at something, they're not impressed by that. They actually
No.
start to be suspicious. They're like,
Exactly.
you
Yes.
can't be that good at that many things.
You can't be
Uh,
good at
yeah.
you can only be good at one thing as far as I'm concerned. Like, really good, one thing. A lifetime is not enough,
Mm.
so.
Yeah. 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 Exactly.
And to go further on the topic, I think also from a spiritual perspective, it's way more satisfying to focus on one aspect, one thing, than to try many different things, which is shallow. It's also shallow spiritually. I mean, you don't find any deep satisfaction. Whereas when you've been doing
Mm.
the same carpentry for 30 years, you have this deep satisfaction that you carry around with you, and
Yes.
it's this sort of superpower that you have.
It has. I think it definitely has the potential. Now, I think the other ingredient is where you choose to put your awareness.
Yes.
Because I've seen people who've been doing the same thing for a long time. Some of them don't seem to care that much. Like either it has become boring, maybe they tuned out, or maybe they're working so that they can go golfing on the weekend. That has become
Yes,
the
that's
new that has become the passion, and the work is just to work. And that's no judgment. That's wherever somebody is. But
I judge.
well, yeah, that's everybody is somewhere.
I think a human
Some.
incarnation is sacred
Hmm.
in the sense that I'm not talking about incarnation here, but you have this life and you're a conscious human being, and you should really use that experience to emancipate yourself and become whatever it is that you feel is the better version of yourself. And
Hmm.
that, I know that's very extreme, but in the sense that if you go through your life enduring your daily occupation just to have a little soothing experience on the weekend, I think it's
Hmm.
deeply wrong. Like, I really think it's
Yeah.
wrong. I'm not saying everybody should be a craftsman. It really doesn't matter what you do. I
Oh
don't
no.
care.
Any
But I
path
think
will
your
do.
occupation should
Yeah.
should bring you deep satisfaction. And it's a challenge. I mean, I'm not saying I've figured all the issues, all the tricks. But yeah, I just wish for people to be happy, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we haven't even started talking about traditional what we're what
Ah
was
no.
the
This is about your journey. This is perfect. Yeah. Yeah. I do. It's a fascinating topic, but
I mean, you and I talking about this, I think it's almost pointless in the sense that we so agree, it's just like we're not challenging each other at all. So
oh no, no, not in that way. No, no. I think there's a lot of common ground. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
for sure. Uh, Hopefully, others will find this interesting as well.
I think they
Oh.
will. In my experience, people long for this in their life. So
Yeah. So eventually, you moved back to Quebec.
so towards the end, 5.5 years apprenticing, and because of how it happened, like the chaos and the master quitting and I had been at that time, I had been in Japan for about 10 years.
Hmm.
And now that I look back, like I should have just taken a break and a big deep breath, and but I felt I had enough of Japan. And
Uh,
I met someone in Montreal who offered me to go manage, to be paid to manage an NPO, which is the mission is to promote traditional blacksmithing and to have my shop there so I could be have a salary. You're talking to someone who hasn't been paid almost anything in like
yes.
5.5 years, right?
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
could be
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
paid.
So you will pay me. I will have a
You will
shop
pay
I
me
can play
to
in.
manage this and talk about, and I do enjoy the part where promoting blacksmithing. That's something I still
Hmm.
enjoy. So I could do this and I could have my shop in there as well. The hell
It's like
yes.
wow.
So we're moving to Canada, and I
Hmm.
and we did that in a very short term, actually, in a few months. And unfortunately, the person in charge of that NPO, the founder, had a bipolar disorder,
Oh.
so we had to
So,
deal with paranoia and
oh. Oh.
so and a
So the
lot of
offer was
trauma.
done on a good day, right?
Oh yes, you're totally getting it
Uh,
exactly. So I
oh.
tried for a year. I did try for a year, and that ended up very dramatically,
Mm,
as it did for many people around that organization for many years before and after that. So I
mm,
ended up basically, and that's like, I don't have many regrets in my life, but one regret I have is moving back to Canada at that time in my life. And that's okay. I mean,
uh,
many things came out of that, and that's fine. But after a year coming back to Canada, I had no shop, no income, and nowhere to put my tools. and I was
Uh-huh.
living in a half
Wow.
basement apartment in Montreal, and I really
Oh.
was wondering what I was doing with my life.
Did
So
you? Yeah. And then how do you explain? Yeah. You explain to your wife. Yeah. It's like, yeah, this is the dream, right? This, no.
right, exactly. She keeps mentioning this to me all the time. Like even now, she says, like, you keep telling me Canada was paradise and it would be awesome. Like we're freezing our asses
Oh.
and we're not making any money. And she was laughing. She's awesome. She was laughing about it. But yeah, I mean, I really
Mm.
should have stuck in Japan, but that's okay. And then
Uh,
I really had nothing at all. But you know how things fall in place together naturally sometimes, magically in your life. So I had done
oh yeah.
towards the end of that year, I had taken one job that came by us at the NPO that a building wanted
Uh-huh.
to have its window grills restored. It's like, hey,
Mm.
I'll do that for you. You know, I'll take. I need money. You know, and uh, and then I took that job, and that created a one income trace in my tax report. You know, and
Uh-huh.
just because of that one job, I went to the bank. So that's a long story anyway. But then I was like, okay, I need to set up my shop, and I want to be in the country. So I'm just gonna move to the country, and my father lived in the country. So I went to in that area, and then I saw this old house for sale for 100 grand. And you know, a house
Uh-huh.
for 100 grand doesn't exist, and it didn't
Yeah.
exist back then either.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I see this old house that's completely beaten up, but it's 100 grand. You know, it's cheaper
Uh-huh.
than an apartment in the city. So I
Yeah.
go to the bank and I'm like, "Can I buy this house?" And they said, "Well, you don't have any income." I said, "Well,"
But
and then I
I got
show them
this
my
one
tax report
job.
with the one job, and they look at it and they say, "Well, we can extrapolate from that, and you're gonna be making that much every year,
Uh-huh.
so yeah, you can buy the house."
Wow.
Which was it didn't make any sense. It didn't
Wow.
make any
Wow. Wow.
sense. So I was able to buy the bloody house, and I'm paying a $645 mortgage a month.
Mm.
You know, which is you don't get an apartment for $1,800 now in Montreal. So
Yeah.
so so
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
moved to the country. And once
Oh.
again, my wife was very patient. This very cold house with air flowing through the walls. And I still
Oh.
had no shop. All my tools were in a car tent, you know, behind the house.
Mm.
And uh, and then I started doing odd jobs here and there just to get by, you know, whatever I could.
Mm.
It was all I refused to go work for a company though. I always adamantly
Ah.
refused. So I would take blacksmithing jobs, like odd jobs, whatever I could.
Yeah. Yeah.
Until in 2015, I decided that I would build my smithy. I really needed to. And there was an old barn that was all broken down. And I thought to myself, and you're going to like this one, it's going to reach you. You can stop me at any time, but I think the
Yeah.
story is fun. So in 2015, there's this old barn that's falling apart in my backyard. And I say, I'm just going to set this one up and set up my shop here and just have my shop like on the ground, on the dirt. There's no floor, whatever.
Uh-huh.
And I remember the first morning I go in there to start, you know, cleaning stuff, and I have this lady come to me. She drives onto my property, and she's like, "Are you Pierre?" I said, "Yes." So well, my son is really into traditional Japanese carpentry, and I've heard of you, and I'd like to introduce you to my son. Would you like to meet him? I said, "Sure." Like send him over. So the next day, Antoine shows up, and he's like, "Hey, man, I just started traditional Japanese carpentry and I just want to meet you." And so we became. You were talking about affinity, right? Atome crochet, and we
Yes.
became
Yes. Yes.
instant friends, like right away. And I'm standing there, and he says, "Hey, man, I've never built a building before. I've only built like garden pergolas and stuff like that." So he said, I'll make your shop like for 4 grand, like I'll work whatever it takes. I'll just make all the parts and we'll build this shop together as long as I can use it as a demonstrator for my clients in the future. I said, man,
Yeah.
be my guest, you know?
Be fine.
So he starts
Wow.
working and I have no money. So I asked for a grant from the government, which I never done before. I got
Mm.
10 grand.
Mm.
And then uh, I talked to a friend of mine in Japan, a French guy who lives there. I said, I'm building my shop and it's hard, but hey, wait. I'll help you. You need to do this. I'll send you 20 grand. So within 6 months,
Wow.
I had I had like $300 in my bank account. I have 10 grand for
Uh-huh.
the government, 20 grand for the French friend. I've never had money given to me before, ever before that or after that. Like
Mm.
it's not something that
Mm.
happens. I just want to be clear on that.
Uh-huh.
So I
Yeah.
have a 30 grand budget. I have Antoine building the frame, traditional Japanese frame. Like, you know what it is.
Uh-huh.
It's beautiful.
I saw the pictures. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Every morning I walk in there and I'm thankful to all the gods in the world that exist that happened. And Antoine is still a close friend. We were talking 2 days ago. Um, so that's how I built my smithy in
He
2015. Antoine Lamotte.
Antoine, he's not conifere, is he? Does
He
he have a business?
yeah. So he was partner with what's his name, Alexandre Jean Alexandre, and they started Conifer together. And Jean
Ah.
Alexandre has he's the other guy with the bipolar issues.
Oh.
So they failed. Jean
Ah.
Alexandre is adorable though. He's not evil. The other guy was evil, but this guy, Jean Alexandre is just
Ah.
dangerously disorganized. So unfortunately,
Oh,
the
okay, okay.
adventure with Conifer did not last long. But Antoine was making frames
Ah.
before that. He made some frames with Conifer, and now he does take 1 or 2 jobs a year. He's not this. He likes to do it at his own pace, right? He doesn't have a
Yeah,
website
yeah.
anymore. Just word of mouth. He's underground, completely underground.
Mm. Mm.
Works very nicely though. And that's in 2015. Towards the end of my build in the fall, we're making the big doors for the main entrance,
Uh-huh.
and I cut my fingers on the table saw.
Oh.
So
Oh
and
my goodness.
so I don't have joints anymore here.
Oh.
So fortunately, they were able
You're showing me your left hand.
my left hand, yeah, and so basically the blade was turning, and I put my fingers in the blade like this, so it
Ooh.
it kind of shredded the tip,
Oh. Yeah, yeah.
but
You have to put the bottom. You just touch with the bottom, not like this. Yeah.
so and I was lucky enough they mostly put everything back together, and I can use my hand. But what that did is I went into a financial uh, chaos for a year because I couldn't work for 6 months because of that,
Mm.
and
Yeah. Wow.
didn't I didn't have any income. It was really really bad for a year.
Wow.
So 2014 comes, sorry, 2016. I'm dangerously in debt, broke,
Mm.
and I start doing whatever I can to just back up on my feet.
Mm-hmm.
And but I still stuck to my principles. I never went to work for anyone. I just
Mm.
started taking jobs and I basically started doing a lot of restoration blacksmithing. And this is still a
Ah.
big part of my income nowadays.
Uh-huh.
Although I've finally got back to swordsmithing, and I do mostly research on steel making right now, which is really my passion right now. And
Ah. It's,
because
it's
and
making like smelting.
smelting exactly. So because we focus on
Ah.
the object that is the sword, but without the right material, I think it doesn't make sense. So
Mm.
and I'm really focusing on that right now. That was
Ah.
a long loop to tell you the story.
Oh, this is wonderful.
Okay,
Now, on your website, as I was looking through, and Dave,
which one?
Dave Friesen
Oh, but absolutely.
in British
Yes.
Columbia.
Have you gone to visit him or something?
No,
Crossheart
but
Forge,
I've
yeah, Island Blacksmith.
Cross Heart Forge, yeah, Island Blacksmith. So, what was the connection with
So
him?
so basically, when I was just about to leave for Canada, 2011, and I get this email. I
Mm.
used to get like 20 emails a week, from people who were from all over the world, who were because of my website was at that time, my website was number one in organic results in Google for Japanese swords, because there
For
was nothing
Japanese was I see.
Japanese
Yeah,
swords
yeah, yeah.
because there was nothing else in English and
Uh-huh.
French. It was the only one that was.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Every website on Japanese swords were either selling swords and stuff like that. I was just giving out information for free, so it was quite popular. So I was getting a
Mm.
lot of emails, and I get this email from a guy
Right.
who says he's a fellow Canadian living in Japan, and he wants to get into blacksmithing. And so we
Ah,
and I told him I was leaving, and then we chatted. We chatted a lot. He was very friendly, but I got a lot of emails like this, so I was not exactly super supportive. I was
uh-huh.
just like, "That's very nice. I
Yeah,
encourage
yeah,
you
yeah,
to blah blah blah." But he
yeah.
kept writing, and I kept answering, and then when I moved back to Canada, he also moved back. We moved back at the same time, using the same excuse, which was the big 2011 earthquake in Japan, and
Ah,
the huge earthquake with the
was
Fukushima
that?
Nuclear power plant meltdown.
Oh, that one, that one. So
That one,
yes.
yeah. So
Uh-huh.
I just happened I had to be moving at the same time. I was moving at the same time,
Uh-huh.
and he moved because he was afraid of the power plant. So we both
Mm,
moved at the same time to Canada,
uh-huh.
and then I was keeping in touch, telling him what I was doing, the adventure with the bipolar guy at the NPO, and then me moving to
Yeah.
the country, and then finally
Mm,
building my shop, and then my accident. And
yeah.
then we're in 2016, and he's like, "You have to make your Japanese forge. Like the building is done, but there's no forge in it."
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And the guy flew over to Quebec from Vancouver to come help me build my forge. And I don't think I've ever been clear enough with him how much I'm thankful. So, Dave, if you're listening to this, you're a very precious friend in my life, and I've never been generous enough with you that I feel. So,
Oh.
I'm very thankful. He was at that time, it was a very dark time in my life, and he
Mm,
was the most present person for me in terms of Japanese sword making. Like everybody around me couldn't care less about Japanese swords at that time, and he was the only one
yes.
keeping the light alive.
That is
And
so
so he
beautiful.
flew over twice to help me set up shop.
Wow.
And man, and we just made it happen. The guy's flying over across the country. I'm not just gonna say no, no. I'm too busy. I can't do this.
Oh
Like,
God.
okay,
Yeah.
let's get to it.
Yeah.
So, and he
Yeah.
was also learning for himself.
Mm,
He was studying how a Japanese sword forge is made, and then he made his
ah.
own.
Yeah, I watched a lot of the videos that he made about doing the
Yes,
installing the forge with you,
that's it.
and the two of you working together. it, I could tell, like, you guys got along really, really
It it
well.
it was
Um,
instant, super smooth, like right away. Which
like,
is not something that always happens, as with somebody you don't really know. So
oh
that
yeah,
was really
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah,
So when he built his forge,
yeah. I could tell there were so few.
a few words, right? Very few words.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could. Yeah, there were so few words exchanged, and but the communication seemed to be crystal clear all the
Yes.
time.
Yeah,
Like,
I loved having him around, and I wanted to come more, but at some point it doesn't make sense, like for him to fly across the country just to help me get out of my
oh yeah,
shithole,
yeah, yeah,
So sorry
yeah,
for the wording.
yeah, yeah.
So when he built his
Oh,
smithy, he needed a bellows, a Japanese traditional bellows, and I made
oh, the
one back
fuego.
in 2014, the Fuigo. So I made one back in
Yes.
2014 just for fun. I wanted to offer it to my master, as a thankful gift to get me into my apprenticeship. And he refused it,
Uh-huh.
said, "I don't need one, just keep it." It's like, okay. so I decided to give it to Dave, and I made a video about that. So I have a video on my YouTube channel
I
about,
I
yeah,
saw that. Yes,
explaining to him how to
yes,
put it together. So
yeah, yeah. That's how I started to put together the relationship you guys have.
yes,
Like, wait, Dave, that's wait, and then just put it together. It's so interesting. Ah, oh, I'll make sure he knows about this interview.
awesome.
Yeah.
Merci. À
Hey,
bientôt.
à bientôt.
Bye.